All right, welcome to the Rocket Launcher podcast. Man, that's how far behind I am. 1 second, episode 101. I had to look. I didn't write it on the sheet of paper. We all messed up tonight. That's all right, but that's okay. I am your host, Supreme King. Join with me, as always, is my host, and his name is my host, and his name is.
It's your guy Omazes.
All right, so we having some bloopers. It's bloopers. It's blooper night. Whatever.
Yeah, man.
It's a lot of bloopers, man. It's all right. It's gonna be a short episode anyway. Don't I always say that, and then we go 2 hours. We're not gonna go 2 hours because this ain't gotta take that long. First of all, it's the intro, so I'm gonna just say, how are you doing today, sir? How was everything?
Long week, so I'm a little tired, but I'm doing all right. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm enjoying, I guess, the weather a little bit and everything. It's kind of still in the hot.
That super hot week.
Yeah. We had some really good rain yesterday. It just kind of cooled everything down, and now it's the aftermath. But yeah, enough about that. The people are here. Hello, people. If you are here rocking with us, we're gonna get right into it. I know what you want to talk about. You want to talk about the biggest topic that is, I always hate this kind of topic with Xbox. We got to go there with Xbox. That's going to be the first topic real quick. And hopefully we ain't got to take too long on it, because I honestly felt like this was going to happen. And what I'm going to talk about is pretty much the price hike. That's what everybody else is talking about, right? So we're going to give you our 2 cents. I figured this was going to happen eventually. I didn't think this was going to happen this soon, though. And it's really bad, in my opinion, because I feel like with Xbox, every time they get a momentum in their like favor, it's like you take one good step forward and it's like 2 or 3 steps back. That's just kind of like what's happening with them, because we're not that far away from their big June show that they did, which got everybody back in momentum with them. You know what I mean? And it was hard to get to that point because just before that, their big news was like all this multi-plat news and stuff, right? And people are still saying that just now, like, even though they didn't say anything on the June show at all, it's just we're so ready to take all their games from them. But now, you know, they had the June show and it was a very good show. And then now, about a month later, I think it is like a month on the dot, we're getting news that it's technically not, I think they did not officially say it themselves yet. It's almost like everybody else have reported it but them. But it might be a situation where they might want to just test the waters, and maybe they might moonwalk on something. We don't know. But basically, they're getting price hikes on their GamePass. Now, not everybody has GamePass. I know they like to make it seem like all of Xbox does, and there's nothing else you would do on Xbox if you didn't have GamePass. But some people do still buy their games. I'm actually one of the people who buy a lot of games. I have a lot of green cases, right? But I also have... I buy Game Pass periodically. I buy months in advance, and I keep codes on like in a folder as well, because I dip in and out of all the consoles and PCs and everything, right? But this particular price hike might be considered one of their worst ones. Although I think the internet, some people are lukewarm on it, some people are not really liking it at all. There's a lot of people that on all the different sides of the coin, basically. But my biggest concern with Xbox and Microsoft in general is sort of the same thing when they had the announcement that the Hi-Fi Rush studio had was taken down, Tango Gameworks and a couple other ones. It's just the same question as like, what is this metric that you're looking to hit? Because it was like, if Hi-Fi Rush didn't hit it, what else was going to hit it at that time? And now it's kind of the same thing when it comes to Game Pass. Is like, what is the money that you're trying to get off of it? Because the way I look at it is something like that you can't just rush. I felt like if we go back to for anybody who's a wrestling fan, I felt like the WWE Network, when they first introduced it, that was something you couldn't rush either. Even though they were really trying at one point with the whole $9.99 nonsense, it was just like you can't really rush that type of growth. Either people gonna want it or they're just not. There's really not much you can do about it. You can just keep providing whatever the product you have, but if people don't want it, they simply just don't want it. Even if you buy you still have the ability to buy each and every game on Xbox. And I know that's never really talked about at all, but like people still buy games when they can, even if they're in a position where they're only able to get them digitally. It doesn't mean that they're going to go through the service, you know? I got a lot more to say about it, but I want you to go ahead and say your piece real quick if you need something to say.
Overall, I hate when companies price hike.
Yeah.
Overall, I've been very much against it, especially when it's not like a small business, right?
Yeah,
when it's a small business where clearly it's like they need the money for more production. I still don't like it that much, but it's like I understand you. But like you can't, in my head it's just like you can't be up in court fighting this hard over buying a franchise and then just being like, yeah, we need to increase our cost for this. Like it's just like you could have just not spent that money.
Yeah, because
that's where it came from.
Yeah, I definitely felt that way before, because I remember when people were calling for this to happen when the Activision deal was first announced before they even went to court, where it was just like you only knew about it for a day or two. People was expecting the prices to just jump up, and to me, I feel like that's not your consumer's fault. You know what I'm saying? And it's also not like they didn't ask for it, and this is the one time where it doesn't make a lot of sense at all. Because if you think about it, the Call of Duty player, like the main hardcore Call of Duty player, only wants to play Call of Duty. Like we've talked about this plenty of times before. Like it didn't matter what the console was. People will buy a console to simply play Call of Duty. And if we got into the situation where we understand that even though Microsoft owns this franchise now, they were in a position where they were pretty much forced to keep it multi-platform a 10-year period. It's like the Call of Duty player understands that, well, at least for 10 years, I don't have to worry about it. We'll come back to it then if I even care about this at that point, because that's 10 years, right? That person who's playing Call of Duty, they get the same game every year. But that doesn't mean that all of a sudden they're going to just jump to GamePass. You know what I'm saying? Like GamePass. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, in fact, most of them won't. I don't think Game Pass is required to be able to play online.
Right.
Where, like, for example, you need PlayStation Plus to play online, so they're kind of trapped into having to buy the lowest tier of PlayStation Plus in order to play Call of Duty.
Yeah.
So it's much harder. You have to be a PS person already, whereas you don't necessarily need Game Pass to be able to play online, I believe. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
We'll go there because you don't need the highest tier. So they've created different tiers with this Game Pass thing, and so technically, you just need to pay for the Game Pass tier. It's funny because they call it Game Pass still, but the lowest tier, I believe, is Game Pass Core, which is like strictly the multiplayer, strictly the online and like deep. Yeah, like I'll actually pull that up now because that's part of the discussion anyway. So
so they're gonna be buying that, but they're not trying to. I'm gonna also check out this other game on Game Pass. Like a lot of them as we saw, which we've talked about before for some of the stats, there are some people that are just playing Call of Duty, and it's almost like, how come the other person has to make up for them? That's what it feels like.
Yeah, because what's funny is Game Pass appeals to somebody who's probably trying to stay away from Call of Duty,
Yeah.
which is the hilarious thing. Because I know the person who's playing a whole bunch of single player games and just a whole bunch of games in general, they're not really playing the battle passes and the PvP stuff online. They're playing all the story driven action adventure stuff. And so Game Pass will have a selection of that, especially with all the third party. But then like having Call of Duty is a plus for that gamer, but that particular gamer is looking at Call of Duty like, okay, this is a popular game. I'll run through the campaign. I might do the online every now and then with friends or family. But when it comes to just the general public, it's not as often, right? If you're a Game Pass player. But if you're on the opposite end of the spectrum, if you are a Call of Duty player, you are not concerned with like playing anything on Game Pass at all. Like you might like something, but you might just be like, well, maybe I can try it if I'm like sick of Game Pass for a little while. But 9 times out of 10, if you are a Game Pass player, you have so much other stuff going on in Game Pass, you don't even really care about Call of Duty. But if you're a Call of Duty player, you bought Call of Duty straight up for $60 or $70, and that is your only game for the year. Like straight up, that is your only game, unless you. So the Call of Duty player fits in with the player who plays what I always call the Big Five, which kind of interchanges a little bit, but is basically the sports, where you're talking basketball and football mainly, and then you're looking at GTA and Call of Duty. And then like the other one that kind of interchanges is going to be Fortnite or Valorant, and that's the younger crowd, right? It's something like that, and it's like if you're not in that rotation, like pretty much all those other games they mean nothing to you. You're not going to look at the trailers. You're not even going to pay attention to all this stuff. Like even with gamers that I know, from like let's say work for example. They knew that there was a bunch of shows. Like I was telling them, there's a bunch of gaming shows that was going to come out. And right away when I told them how many of them it was and stuff, it was just like, it was almost like their short attention span was already telling them right away, I'm not about to watch all of that. And they didn't. None of them watched it. None of them even watched the Xbox show, even though I told them that was the only one that was worth watching. They didn't watch any show. Their game was literally, for one of them, Overwatch. And for the other two, it was Fortnite, and you could not get them to budge no matter what. And the Call of Duty player is the same player. They're just that player that's 10 years older, right? And it's just like literally what they're trying to do with Game Pass is not going to work in that particular area. Like it's the icing on the cake, but now everybody else who did what they were supposed to do, which is just simply subscribe and play some stuff, it's almost like they're getting punished now because you could not gravitate the other people. And at the end of the day, that's kind of their fault, right? They had a bunch of games. Some of them, they were not that good coming out. Some of them, we had a couple stories that they were 30 FPS games on console, right? That's kind of unacceptable right now in this generation. It just is. It just is, no matter how you want to look at it. Starfield is an awesome game. But Starfield, I believe, on console was 30 FPS. Hellblade 2, 30 FPS on console. Right? Redfall was 30 FPS and Redfall did terrible. Right? And it's like some of these games, it's like, well, you were advertised the next gen product, but then the next gen product doesn't deliver. And it starts to look like last gen, right? And so because of that, the people are not necessarily gravitating as quickly as you want them to. They're still gravitating, they're still getting their numbers, but it's not as quick as they want. And I just feel like I wish somebody from Xbox or Microsoft could hear this, what I want to say next. It's a kind of a shame that they're not going to hear this, but at the same time, who am I to them, right? But honestly, what they just need to understand is this generation is literally the generation where they are fighting from underneath for their reputation's sake. They're not going to make a profit. Like, you kind of have to let that breathe for a second. Xbox needs to understand that this generation, you have to expect to not make a profit. Like, literally, because this generation, your idea is to get the people to come to you, and then once they come to you, the next generation is when you start to make the profit again. This generation was the generation where they were supposed to have their games, and they were supposed to get rid of the stigma in the very beginning, and that stigma was Xbox has no games. We kind of got to that point because we went from Xbox got no games to I'm about to play their games everywhere else. That's kind of the stigma now. There's still a negative stigma for them, though. That's still negative. And then everybody's got every sideway thing to say about Game Pass. I honestly don't blame this on Game Pass itself. I don't blame this on their lack of sales numbers for certain games outside of Game Pass. It just feels like they're trying to force a profit way too soon. Because at the same time, as a company, Microsoft is still a company where in the middle of trying to acquire a bunch of people and going through a battle, they still had the notice that was put out that they crossed $3 trillion as an entity in general.
Right.
And it's like, how are you looking for so many short-term gains while at the same time you're worth more than your competitor 10, 15 times over, 1,000,000 times older. And then at the same time, you're still trying to do acquisitions that are way more than what a game like Hi-Fi Rush can make you, even what like Game Pass for a year could make you, right? When we're talking 60 something billion dollars or whatever it was, $68 billion, it's like, did you really make that, or are you really projected to make that on Game Pass in 1 year? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think the people are bringing that back to you. Maybe 1 or 2 billion, but definitely not no 68 billion. But yeah, let me mention real quick. I'll let you talk again. So they broken this down into more tiers, and they introduced a whole nother tier, which this tier I think is a slap in the face a little bit, and I'll get to it in a second. Okay. But the Game Pass Core is supposed to be the tier that is like pretty much PS Plus, but the problem with this one is they had already discontinued the monthly games. At one point they was doing up to 4 monthly games. It was like 2 that was supposed to be current and 2 that was supposed to be last gen, right? They kind of ran out of last gen, and then they kind of ran out of current, really. And so they stopped doing that. And so the Game Pass Core was just simply multiplayer, right? And then you get member discounts. Now they say it's multiplayer and you still get the discounts, and according to this, you have a limited catalog of 25 plus games on console. I don't even know what that is, but it's apparently you have access to 25 games. And so this used to cost $60 for the full year, something similar to PS Plus. And so now it's $9.99 a month or $74.99 a year. So for the yearly option, it went up by $15, basically. And then they introduced this tier, which goes against everything Game Pass, basically. And it's called Game Pass Standard, right? This is the one where it's the same thing as the multiplayer, but you don't get any day one releases. You just get a selection of the Game Pass catalog, which says it's like hundreds of games, right? It's just nothing that's day one, and that's the one that's $14.99 a month. And the reason I say it's a slap in the face is because this is their second price hike. The Game Pass original price was $14.99 for Ultimate, which came with everything, console, PC, cloud, and day one releases. And so now they're telling you with that, you don't get all of that. You get what's kind of just there, and then the multiplayer. And what's interesting about it too is like this has a gray area here, because how do you know when you say it's games that's not day one releases, but it's games that's like in the catalog? At what point do games just become a part of the catalog that's coming from like the new hotness, right? The new game, like right. Hellblade 2 came out in like late May, right? And so that's not day one anymore because we're not in May. But how long will it take for it to just be a part of this Game Pass standard? You know what I mean? So we don't really know. We don't know if there's a time limit of you have to wait a year. We don't know anything. We just know that's the new one that they came out with. And so that's the one that's somewhat equivalent to PlayStation Extra. And I always felt like Extra lacked because it didn't have day one releases to me. So they have this category where it pretty much mirrors it, right? And then interesting enough, they got rid of, and we could probably have a discussion on this, they got rid of the Game Pass version that was supposed to be console only. So if you are someone who has it, you are grandfathered in, and you technically better hope you never let it lapse. If you let it lapse, you can't get it no more. You have to get one of these other ones. You're stuck either having standard or ultimate, or core, basically, right? Now the Game Pass that was supposed to be console only is also supposed to have day one releases. So you would basically have to get standard, which would be the same thing as what you had before, but you just don't get any more day one releases. If you never let it lapse, you don't have to worry about anything. But you'll be stuck in a situation. So you see how crazy this sounds? Like, just to say it, like you'll be stuck in a situation where you have to keep paying them, or you lose that tier altogether because that tier no longer exists. That's crazy. And so, because that was the one that I believe, I think the price on it may have been $12.99. I forgot. They delisting it, so it doesn't even matter. So Ultimate is what gives you everything. So you get the day one releases, you get Game Pass for PC, Game Pass for console, you get the cloud, so you can sit there, you can pull out your Rogue Ally or something, you can stream the game, or you can download the game on that type of machine, turn right back around, go on your console, go on your PC, your save data is going everywhere. That's Ultimate, right? So that's $19.99. I believe a year to a year and a half ago, I don't even think it was 2 full years ago, they increased it to $16.99 from $15.99. And here we are. We didn't go a full 2 years, I'm pretty sure. It's only been a year and a half, and they increased it again. And so that's my biggest issue is I knew it was going to happen, but I have an issue with it increasing that fast, because the way it looks to me as a consumer, it's like, okay, you're talking about you have all these things coming, all these things are coming, then when they finally come, you raise the price on me. Now, a hardcore person is probably still going to be on Game Pass long term. They're looking at it like, man, it's $3 extra is not going to faze me, right? The problem is you just killed your new audience, really. You kind of just killed, like, you didn't kill it completely, but you really lowered it, because it's harder for somebody to make the decision to come to the Xbox platform when you're raising the price and you're telling the people that some of the games are going to come to the other consoles eventually. It's like you have to really sit there for a second and think out loud. Well, well, how do they grow their brand? How do they grow the product? You know what I mean? It's like, what is the metric you're looking for? And all of these short-term decision makings that they're doing is hurting their brand in the long run. It's like, because really think about that. It's like, what was the point of the Hi-Fi Rush thing if you was going to kill Hi-Fi Rush, right? And then, like, what's the point of doing this if... I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. Yeah. I don't know what they're doing at all.
That's a beautiful way to summarize that, man. I don't know what they're doing. It's this weird greed thing. Like, again, it's like, you're telling me you're worth like trillions of dollars. You were able to just, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy this. And then like, oh, well, we got to increase the price. And it's like, why? Why does the consumer need to pay more for the same thing? And it's just been this issue of just everything constantly increasing in price, but people ain't getting paid more. And it's just like, well, then where's all this extra money going? Like, because everybody was hurting.
Yeah, because
increased cost, but like the quality ain't getting better, the things ain't getting better. And I called out PlayStation for this as well as a PlayStation gamer. When they increased prices, it was like, but remember, as soon as they increased price, the first thing we kept doing each month was asking, based off of the price, is the PlayStation Plus games worth it? Right? Was the quality improved? And we had determined it took about like 6-7 months before we were like, this was a worth it month.
Yeah, because I think
we gotta increase the price, and then everything we had.
Yeah, because they increased the price, and then I think immediately came out with that Saints Row game as like one of the free ones.
Yeah. Yep. And I remember I was complaining each month where I was saying that like you increase the price, and then for the 3 games you give away, the best one had at best 60 overall like Metacritic score. So it was just they were constantly giving D-rated games like each month, but they were like, yeah, the quality is increasing, and that's why we need to up the price. And it's like the quality got worse.
Yeah, because Saints Row, what was crazy was Saints Row was like their headliner, and then I think they followed it up with Callisto Protocol.
Oh yeah, and it was like another game that got rated as a failure.
Yeah.
Like, so it's just like, come on, man.
Yeah, so there's one more Game Pass tier I should mention. So this is the one that's a little bit more controversial too. Because it sounds like this ain't that bad, but it is a little bit when you think about it, because it's the PC Game Pass tier. And I'm going to be honest, with my PC that I have now, I may just gravitate towards just being on this tier in the long term and not worrying about Ultimate, because this is the tier that is $11.99 a month. And it's a weird thing because it looks like on the PC side, Xbox is not trying to be as egregious, but when it comes to the console, they're hitting you like really hard. It's almost like they're punishing you to actually be the console player, to be the one person who decides, I'm not going to play this game on any other system. I'm going to play it on where I think it should belong, where everybody feels traditionally it should belong. The Xbox game should be on an Xbox platform. If you have Ultimate, you're looking at $20. So a lot of the players that's coming from the PC side, it's kind of like this with like the pricing of full price games too. It's like, we're not going to charge the PC player as much as we are the console player. We've talked about it before with how sometimes there are games that are like $10 cheaper, and there's like the full definitive version of those games where if you're on the console side, you got to buy the DLC separate. They don't even offer it as a definitive version. This is kind of in that same category where it's like the PC side, you get your multiplayer. Well, the multiplayer is free because it's PC, right? And then it even says it on the thing, free on PC. You got your free multiplayer, and then you still have all of the catalog and the day one releases. You just don't get like access to Game Pass on the console side, basically. That's like the only thing you might lack. But it's like, to a PC player, it's like, well, that's not a like, doesn't hurt me, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because you still get the cloud and all of that too. It even says, according to this, that you will get the EA benefits, and that's something that was previously only on Ultimate, where you would get EA Play, and it's looking like it's saying, well, the PC guys get EA Play with this, and so, I don't understand their messaging, because like, everybody if you're smart enough to put together a profile under Xbox and put your credit card on there or debit card, then you have enough common sense and enough reading comprehension to understand that the message is showing you that they don't care about the console player the most, they care about them the least. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how the messaging looks. And you know, if you look at it and you would just say, common sense would say, I would get either PC Game Pass or I won't get this at all. And that's just how it looks. And the thing about it too is, the PC player isn't going to pay you straight up. They're going to go off of some website, and I'm going to be honest, I did the same thing and I still do the same thing. They're going to go to some website where it's going to give you that code where you're paying a fraction of the price. You know, like, they raise the price on them. For everybody else, they're going to still pay either the dollar deal, or they're going to do some sort of $3 or $4 thing from some random website. And they'll let it lapse and put it back on, let it lapse, put it back on whenever something is good. And they're game sharing. So it's like, you're not going to make the money. They just need to understand that you're not going to make the money. It's no different than like how we would talk about like people doing all of the microtransactions and the microtransaction games failing, like to the point where the games like only are lasting like a couple months now. It's not even a full year or the generation. Forget about it being the generation, right? Some of these games don't even last that long. It's like, you're not going to make that money. The industry needs to understand this is the generation where they all thought they were going to make a lot of money, but none of them are going to make that much money. It's going to be one or two trendy games here and there. You know, Power World and Helldivers is pretty much the only two this year that's like the trendy ones, right? And then everything else is like, you have your dedicated fans here and there that are going to pay, but it's not going to be the industry. Fortnite might not ever be duplicated ever again. Like, I kind of have to say that one more time. Fortnite may not ever be duplicated ever again. And I'm not talking about the type of game. They're going to come out with 1,000 games that's like that. I'm talking about the money. The money might not ever happen again.
Yeah.
The industry needs to understand that some of these things are really anomalies. It's like the one from the Matrix. It's like, it's really only one. It's like, the money is not going to come in, guys. I'm sorry. Some executive somewhere, somebody needs to know this. You're not going to turn a profit. This is not the generation for turning a profit. Like, we've lost like because it's bigger than just this. We've lost so many different developers and so many studios, to the point where we now saw skits of this on the actual award shows. We also saw people showing, like, basically doing on-screen resumes on some of these award shows at one point to say, hey, are you hiring? And then spreading awareness. Oh, these people are firing us. They're firing us. They're firing us. Studio shut down, studio shut down, studio shut down. You guys got to understand, you're not going to make millions of dollars overnight on gaming. We, the consumer, are not about to pay that kind of money for each and every product. We will pay for it for a God of War. We will pay for it for an Elden Ring. We will pay for it for a Hogwarts, as much as people don't want you to know that. We will pay for it for probably Spider-Man 2. Or tiers of the kingdom, but we're not going to do it for every game going out. We're just not going to do it. And at the same time, we're not going to do that under Game Pass. Why would I give Game Pass $20 a month when I could just go buy that game that I'm going to play that month?
Right.
It's $20. $20 is the floor price. That's the Black Friday place. Lots of games was $20. We just got Lords of the Fallen. Like if Lords of the Fallen was on Game Pass and you're telling me it's $20 a month, but I can go get the disc version or even digitally for $20, why would I go to Game Pass? It's like now you've just taken more money out of your pocket without even realizing it, because people are going to look at it and be like, what are the games I want to play right now? And they're going to compare it to Amazon. And if the game is only off by like $5, they literally will pay the extra $5 and own the game on Amazon. I think they just need to understand that. They don't understand that, bro. That's what I'm just not understanding with this, because this is not going to stop. It's going to happen in other areas. It's going to happen with other entities. They're going to raise the price and then they're going to be disappointed because they're still not going to turn the profit. This generation is not the profit generation. This is the generation where they're going to all have to just either take the loss or try to just come out with something and hope that they make some money, but they're not about to make no Fortnite money. It's not about to happen. You know, it is what it is. It sucks because they had some good news in a way from last week. I guess Microsoft or Xbox partnered with Amazon to bring Game Pass and, you know, Xbox games and stuff to the Fire Stick from streaming, right? Like that's something that they were supposed to be doing, and that was a big deal from last week. Like we took the week off, it was July 4th and everything, but that kind of came out, and the news, depending on how you look at it, because I remember their headline was literally, "You don't need a console." They're literally taking the Google Stadia headline. And they did that, and then 1 week later, but we're raising the price on you if you use it, basically. I'm like, well, congratulations. There goes a potential amount of Amazon people that would have came on. And these are, if we're talking Amazon Fire Sticks, we're still talking about people who have access to Amazon Luna. So if they're not going to go to Amazon Luna, what makes you think they're about to pay extra and come on the Game Pass? Like they didn't think, I don't know if somebody didn't think this through. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure.
A lot of them don't think through. It's really just, again, it's what can we do in the short term? And like little things, like for example, how you mentioned how like, you know, prices don't seem to always increase on PC. It's almost this idea, it feels like they're going, well, we can't get them because they can just do alternate stuff and they won't fall for it. But we can force the console player to give us more. And it seems like everything is so like, how do we get more money? How do we penny pinch like every single console person over and over? Where even though you're saying like, you know, just don't expect like to make the profit and everything. Yeah. In my head, I'm like, where are y'all hurting? Like even like in my head, that is when I think of price increases and stuff. I'm like, if y'all not hurting, y'all don't like. I'm sure, Arizona, like, and I think it was you, but like Arizona. The like drink for like the Arizona ICs and everything.
Yeah.
The cans have 99 cents printed on the label for it. And like they've said several times, the creators just like, it costs 99 cents. Like, we make enough money, we good. And it's like they like everything else went up in price. And I'm sure like when everything always argues about, well, the production cost has increased. I'm sure the production cost has increased on them, but they're like, yeah, we still make enough. And it's just like they make enough. But like all of a sudden, Sony and Microsoft, y'all don't make enough, and y'all need to do this. Like, don't tell me y'all made $1 trillion and then say, "Hey, we need to increase the price." Like that's why? Why is it again? Why is it on me? Your execs say if you had to release news that all of your executives was taking pay cuts because y'all ain't making this money, and then y'all have to increase price, it's like okay, yeah, y'all really hurting. But I ain't hear nothing about execs getting paid less. People is getting paid more. People is getting them nice severance packages after they ruin everything. And then it's still on the regular consumer to almost make up for it, and it's just like that's not cool. That's what I don't like.
Yeah, so don't get me wrong, Game Pass as a product still looks like an attractive product for what it is. If you were already sold on it, I don't think this is going to deter you really at all. It may deter you a little bit because, like I said, you might look at like a game that's $20 and versus trying to play it on Game Pass. But my concern is, how do you grow the Xbox brand or the product? Because it's just, when you look at this from the outside, there's really only two more main players here. There's people who are primarily on Nintendo and people who are primarily on PlayStation. And then somewhere in a gray area, PC, right? Whoever is on PC but hasn't played Xbox games. How do you attract a PC player to Game Pass that's not already on there today? You know what I mean? How do you attract somebody who is a Nintendo player first to pick up an Xbox system or a PC or a handheld PC to play Xbox games? You know what I'm saying? Somebody coming fresh off of Hi-Fi Rush being ported over there, and then immediately after Hi-Fi Rush was ported, the studio closes down and the price is raised on their system. On their, not their system, on their, well, they did come out with a higher price system too, but on their service, right? Like when somebody from Nintendo sees this, how do you expect that Nintendo player to say, like, I gotta come over to Xbox? Almost like an impulse kind of thing. Like, I gotta buy the bag of chips at the front of the line at the Walmart or something. Like, I gotta get Game Pass that bad. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it doesn't have that same attractiveness like that stick of gum when you're inside of a retail store line, right? That Jet magazine in the front. All these things that they put up there, right? That they say is more impulses to get you to buy. It's like nice and colorful, right? All this shiny and colorful candy that's right there in the front. This doesn't look like that to a lot of people. It still looks like that to the hardcore, but to everybody else, it's looking like tobacco to somebody who doesn't smoke. That's kind of how it's looking. It's like, okay, somebody likes this, but it's just not me. That's how it's looking. So I don't know what they're gonna do. I'm kind of concerned for the brand a little bit, but they need to understand they need to focus on the long term. Something like having Amazon Fire Sticks, having your product on Amazon Fire Sticks is fantastic for the long run, because whether we like it or not, that's kind of where we're heading in the next 10 years. To get ahead of it now is good for them. To get ahead of having what they call the Netflix of gaming is good for them. But these type of steps is not good. It's just not good. Even if in a world where everything was going up, like I said, I expected this to happen at some point, but you got to look at it like you raised the price twice before you grew the audience. That's the big part.
Yeah.
It's before the audience, because this generation, the way it felt like it was reintroducing Xbox to an audience that never really pays attention to Xbox, that spent the last generation ignoring Xbox, right? And so this is the time where you're supposed to be more attracted to it, give it a second chance, and they're making it hard for you to do it. It's just there's no way, nothing else really to say. We spent about 40 minutes on this, so I'm gonna actually, we can just move on. All I can say is I'm a little disappointed. I myself, at the end of the day, I will still continue to have Game Pass, but I am having it periodically. I'm not somebody who's going to subscribe the entire year all the way through, because at the same time, the releases aren't even that consistent. It's not. Yeah. They're getting better, but what we saw was a great show that showed a lot of great stuff that, let's be honest, they're not out yet. It was like maybe one or two things, but it was a lot of hot stuff that's not out. A lot of that stuff that has release dates this upcoming fall and more closer towards the holiday season in the fall, right? But it's not out right now. So when you see that, you get excited for it, and then like 3 weeks later, they raise the price on you before you can even get into the system's ecosystem and decide to play what you can catch up on and then wait for those great releases. You just raised the price on it. You just killed your June show. Basically. It was a great show, but I mean, you undermined it. I don't know what else to say, but that's what it is with that. We can move on. Let me go ahead. We're at the 45-minute mark. I'm gonna just go ahead and do the Epic Games part, which is our unofficial sponsor in the middle of the show. So I just wanted to highlight. I always highlight the Epic Games because they give out free stuff. Now this is kind of hilarious. Free. We love free. And so shout out to Epic Games. This opens up a question that I do want to ask you. But I'll mention the games first, and then we'll have an impromptu like topic within this because I think this will be interesting. The first thing I wanted to mention is the game that is available right now and is going to be available until July 18th as of this recording is called Floppy Nights. I don't know too much about it, but it's Floppy Nights. And then from there we have from July 18th to the 25th, they reintroduced 2 games again. One of them is called Arcade Paradise. I have a feeling that's going to be a collection of like very popular, or at least very popular types of arcade games. And then Made of Skur, I believe is what it's called. Which when I saw the cover, it looked like a horror game. So if anybody's into horror games, they got a nice little horror game for you, I'm assuming. But yeah, so the 2 games next week and 1 game this week. And I wanted to mention real quick something that I thought was pretty cool. On Steam right now, I want to mention this because I'm still currently playing a game, even though I put it down for Persona 4. I'm still playing Bloodborne, a PS4 game, right? Somebody out there, one developer, they've made a game that's inspired by Bloodborne, and it was initially going to be called Bloodborne Kart. Okay. It's pretty silly, but it's actually been changed to Nightmare Kart. It's one developer, and he has different YouTubers who actually voice act in this game. So it's a fan-made game for fans of Souls players or Souls games, all centered around Bloodborne. And so it's on Steam. It is free. It's called Nightmare Kart. Shout out to Sony because they did not take this down. They are aware of it. They told them to just change the name and change some of the assets. And so they agreed. And so now it's called Nightmare Kart. When you look at it, you can clearly tell like you're going to be racing against like other Souls bosses and stuff. Okay. And so, yeah, it's completely free and it is voice acted by a bunch of YouTubers, right? I don't know who the YouTubers are. Go play it. It's free and you might recognize a voice here or there. So I just wanted to mention that. So that's pretty cool. And then real quick, I just go over, I did not know this until last week and I wanted to mention Dave the Diver. The DLC for Dave the Diver that has like Godzilla in it, and I believe their other DLC is free, but it is free for a limited time. I didn't know that. So it's free until November 23rd, 2024. And if you don't have the game, you can still claim the free DLC. You just can't play it until you get the game. You can do that on I believe the PS5 version and the Switch version. It's on PC, PS5, and Switch. I don't think it's on Xbox, but only the Steam version requires you to buy the game first. Okay. The other versions you can at least go claim the free DLC. So even if you're on the fence about it, at least go claim it. because it's free. We all love free. And then, if you're given the game, or if you do decide to buy the game later, you buy the game and then the DLC is still available to you. But to my understanding, come November 24th, you will no longer have this available to you for free. They're going to charge you for it. I don't know what it's for or how much it's for, but they're going to charge you. And then my last thing I just wanted to say is I want to give a shout out to Multiverses for introducing Agent Smith as a character, which I thought was pretty interesting. But yeah, so they're doing movie people too that are just like from different movies, and so Agent Smith is one of them, and so Agent Smith is going to be available it's available now. And you so
gotta unlock them.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a grind, but you gotta unlock them.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool.
I actually have something.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, Amazon Prime, they do Prime Gaming. Okay. For like a few weeks where you get free stuff. Now, the way it works is you need an Amazon Prime account, and there's certain games that you can just get through Amazon Prime. And it's just, they give you a code. I think sometimes they may connect to Steam, where you can input the code, get the game. Otherwise, it just downloads directly from Amazon Prime. Because they've partnered with like Twitch and stuff. There's also certain games that you get if you link to your Epic Games account. So it's not going to cost you more or anything like that. But if you already have an Epic Games account, basically it's on Epic, the game still costs. But on Prime Gaming, it's free and it just downloads through Epic. Similarly, there's certain games that you get a code and you're able to download it through GOG.
Okay.
Through the website, where it's through Amazon Prime, so it's free, and it's just, here's your code, go over to GOG, type it in, you get your game. Fully to download. And through Prime Gaming this month, they've given away, and you can still get these, Deceive Inc., Tearstone, Thieves of the Heart, The Invisible Hand, Forager, Card Shark, Heaven Dust 2, Solstice, Wall World, Hitman Absolution, Call of Juarez, Bound in Blood, and another Call of Juarez game. And then they're also now giving away, like through this week, because they add games to it each week, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, the Sith Lords, Alex Kidd in the Miracle World, DX, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, which that one I know is specifically through Epic, and Samurai Bringer. And there's going to be 3 more games that end up getting added to it over the next few days. One of which will be Chivalry 2. Another one will be Rise of the Tomb Raider, again through Epic. And then the last one that you can also get, and it will be available on the 16th through the 17th, Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League for PC. So that game will be completely free. As long as you claim it by the 16th or by the 17th, it's yours to keep forever. And from my understanding, you don't need an active Amazon Prime subscription afterwards. So you need it to claim the games for free, but then once you have it, they are yours. If your Amazon Prime expires or you just don't renew it, the games are still yours. They're not going to be now taken away. They're yours to keep forever. You just need the Prime in order to get them to begin with. So the season 2 for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League stuff, the Mrs. Freeze DLC, has been delayed by an extra week, but if you can pick up the game, and as you pick it up, season 2 DLC should be coming out soon after.
The interesting thing about it is, because I know we're past the topic, I just wanted to mention real quick that Xbox still needs to realize that they're still competing with those type of those type of features from other platforms. Like we were just mentioning, like how do you convince a PC player to play Xbox games on PC through PC GamePass if they haven't already done it? And those same PC players are still looking at services like Epic Games, you know? Because Epic Games is giving you such a big library of games. Like, I have over 200 games, probably close to 300, because I've mentioned it for a while, the 200 mark. But I remember the last time I had checked, it was like 230 something. It's probably closer to 260 or 270 now. Like I have that many games that was on there where I did not input any card. There was no, monthly bill or anything like that. And it's just there. It's there.
Yep.
And it's not just the little games. It's still bigger games. Like, for example, one of them that I downloaded for playing on PC was Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy, right? That was a big game for testing out PCs for certain builds for the year that came out for a lot of people. And like, that's a big game. I think Alien Isolation is probably not as big to a lot of people, but that was a big game that I did not need to pay for because I got it through Epic. And you know how you'll have games where it's like you buy a lot of games, but then there's those ones that are just like really on the fence for you. Like, you just really don't know. Like, there was like at least 4 or 5 Bethesda games that I was kind of on the fence for, but I got them all through Epic. Funny enough, and these are supposed to be, big headliners for Game Pass because of the Bethesda merger. And I believe a couple of them was like the Dishonored series, Prey, Evil Within 1 and 2, right? They did like a whole bunch of these games. And these are still big titles to some people, the full Fallout series, right? Like, all of that was just on there for free. It was free. The Amazon deals that you mentioned, there are a lot of people who trust Amazon to the point where there will be some good deals from certain products and places, and they're immediately trying to see, can they just buy it off Amazon, and they do not want to buy it off the website. They literally would not buy it off somebody's website. There's a lot of people who are just like that. And you probably don't even realize right away that they're wired like that. But Amazon just has that hold on them for retail, purchases. So it's easier for somebody to trust Amazon Luna or Amazon Prime. But you got to go through a lot more hurdles to trust something like Game Pass, unfortunately, if you haven't already been on there. But we can move on. There was one other thing, because I had almost said, yeah, go ahead. You want
I was
to
say real quick, and then we can move on. But I think part of what I was talking about is, again, Epic does not make a profit off of the Epic store.
Yeah.
Like, that thing is just losing money. But again, they make so much from Fortnite that they're kind of just like, we're fine. And it's like, that's where it's like with some of these other companies where it's like, do you need the price increase? Like, it's like Epic could clearly just be like, yeah, we got to start charging, right? And it would make kind of sense, because it's like, there is active, like, news that this thing is just losing money, right? Every other company would try and find a way to not make it lose, but to have some sort of profit. And they're just like, nah, like, we make enough here that we can just do this. And it's just consumer friendly. So it's just like, I don't know. It's that idea where I understand the need to make a profit. That's the whole point of a business. But it's just like, they're actively hurting. Sony increasing the price, Xbox increasing the price. It's like, there's no news of you hurting. It's just you wanting more.
Yeah, what's actually funny too? With Fortnite has allowed Epic to give away games for free. You would think that Call of Duty, it may not be exactly giving them the exact amount of money as Fortnite, but it's giving them somewhere close to it, right? You would think that Call of Duty should be enough of a reason for them to be able to keep the Game Pass price exactly the same. It shouldn't be the reverse. It's like, because if you look at the logic of Epic Games, like, you would have thought Epic Games would charge you, and that was the one thing I wanted to mention as a fantasy topic, just for a quick topic. If Epic Games started to charge, would you take the subscription?
Probably not, actually. And honestly, it's because they're giving away, like, the whole point is they're giving away these free games, but like I never really
Want them, I guess.
not necessarily want them, but I guess I'm not that hung up on quality
Mm-hmm.
for the game because free is free.
Yeah.
It's free, right? So like the game this one, like Floppy Nights, it's like I'm not giving you money because I'm dying to play Floppy Nights. I might try out now Floppy Nights because I got it for free.
Yeah.
Right? And then sometimes that leads to me going, well, what else does this developer come out with? Because if I like this game, I might like their next game. Or if Floppy Nights got a sequel and I really like Floppy Nights, so now I'm about to play Floppy Nights too. But I don't think it would be like, here's some money for Floppy Nights, and I don't be on Epic like that in order to justify.
Yeah, you'll be forced to look at the game sideways, and it would actually hurt some of those developers because you look at them like Floppy Night, like what? Floppy Bird? What is that? I don't want to play that. That sound corny. It looked corny.
Exactly.
And you wouldn't even look at the trailer. You wouldn't have no idea like anything about it. It's just you would dismiss it that fast. But because it's free, it's like all of a sudden your energy is like completely different, and you might like it and you might go pay real money for it. I just want to mention one thing about it because I almost accidentally said that Agent Smith was going to be released in September. It's actually not that. I got the notes a little scribbled up in my notes a little bit wrong. It's actually all these changes on Xbox is apparently set to happen in September. And you know what's crazy? Like, I'm not going to make it personal, but it's like, dang, like happy birthday to me, right? Because I'm like really trying to give them credit and try them out, but this is happening September 12th. So I'm just like, all right, well, I don't even know what to say to you on a personal level, but I guess it's So we could finally move on. I do want to mention one other thing, which is a good example because I usually tell people at the end of the free game segment, like, what did I just buy? So I did buy Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance because it was the steelbook version, and I think they're getting ready to stop doing the steelbook versions, and I wanted the steelbook because I thought it looked dope. So I was gonna get Luigi's Mansion 2. I'm actually going to probably get that next month because that's the Black Myth Wukong month, and I don't think there's going to be a physical version of the Black Myth Wukong, so I'm not even going to be able to use my GamePass, GameSpot discount or GameStop discount. But I used the discount for this month on Vengeance, and then I turned back around and I bought Shin Megami Tensei 3 under Steam because I believe it was like $12 or something. And I mentioned that because that all started, at least my fandom for it. Yes, I am one of those noobs. I don't feel bad to say it, but I started with Persona 5, right? The original, and this is a very good example, the original Persona 5 was given away under the PS Plus collection that they got rid of. You remember that? When the PS5 first was launched in November 2020, Persona 5 was given away in that. Everybody at the time obviously was saying, you got to play Royal. I was new to that game. I did start it. I put 20 hours into it, and I said, if I like it, I'll stop and restart and go back under Royal. I did. I bought Royal for $15 on the eShop, I believe, for PlayStation 5 when it had a big sale, right? I liked it enough that I turned back around. I bought Shin Megami Tensei for almost full price, 5 Vengeance. Turned back around, bought Shin Megami Tensei 3 on Steam. I have the PS5 version of Persona 3 Reloaded. I'm playing Golden right now on my Steam Deck, right? It's like it took them so many years to get to that point because remember this series started on the original PlayStation, and we're talking like 20 plus years later. Now, PlayStation 5, PC, Xbox, it's fully multi-plat, and they're firing on all cylinders. They're getting ready to release that game called something Refantasio or whatever it's called, and Metaphor Refantasio or whatever it's called. And the hype alone from that is based off of the makers of Persona 5, right? And they have Vengeance out right now. So Atlas is firing on all cylinders because they gave that brand a chance to grow. The Persona brand grew bigger than the Shin Megami Tensei brand. But if you're somebody who started with Persona 5, you're going back and you're enjoying all these other games in the catalog. That's the mindset Xbox is supposed to be on, and a lot of these people are supposed to be on. You're supposed to put out a quality product that's so good that it makes you want to go into the backlog on the platform and then wait for the next one. And then that person will pay for the next one and they will pay big money for it. That's how it works. It's unfortunate that they don't understand that, but some of these guys, some of these studios, you got to put out stuff for like 10, 20 years. It can't be 1 year. It can't be 2 months or something like Forspoken. It literally has to be like 10, 20 years. Y'all got to go in. They got to be in there for the long run. It's almost like if you're going to be a wrestler, like you got to look at your gaming development career the same way like Undertaker looked at his wrestling career, like quite literally. Like you got to be to the point where you're hobbling in that ring, or you're hobbling and you got to be an old man hobbling into your cubicle or whatever to make these games. You got to be like these guys got to really be in for the long run. Like you can't just let's make a quick buck as an investor. It's just not going to work that way. It's just not. Somebody right now who is playing games as a 20-something-year-old, like they're not going to buy your full catalog until they're like 10 years into your product. They'll go back and buy it at 30 plus. You know what I'm saying? But they gotta go their full 20 years playing something else, and then they get turned on to your product, and then they go back to it. How many of these Persona products did you even know about 10 years ago? Like it wasn't even thought about to you, but it was there. They were there the whole time, and you never heard of it, right? That's literally everybody on Valorant right now. Somebody on Valorant never heard of Starfield. Even though it's Starfield, they never heard of it. They never heard of Perfect Dark. They never heard of Fable. They never heard of Avowed. They never heard of, like, we moved on. We're going to move on. I'm sorry. Tell me about Exoprimal, man. What we want to talk about Exoprimal?
It's extinct. It's dead. Exoprimal, the game where you're in a mech suit shooting down dinosaurs.
Yeah.
After just over a year, they're going to be shutting down the servers. So the way it's going to be working is season 4 content will be the last. All of the old battle pass stuff will be available for anybody who wants to buy, like things that they may have missed. And then they said season 1 will return, and like each month the game will automatically, like, they'll do season 1 content, then season 2, season 3, season 4, season 1, season 2, season 3, season 4, like over and over on a loop. And it'll put in bots in the game for like if you don't have a full team. Because for example, Steam had like under 30 players playing concurrently at some point. So it'll throw in bots so people can still play it, but there won't be anything added after. So they'll keep the servers on because people paid $60 for this game last year.
Yeah.
And it didn't really have a thriving single player campaign. It was really reliant on just like a thriving community. So yeah, it'll be available to play, but server or nothing new will be added.
Now that's one thing that I do want to give them a little bit of credit for. I do appreciate I don't know if I should even say give them credit for it. Sounds weird to say this, right? I appreciate them not shutting it like completely down where you can't play the product you paid for if you paid for it.
Correct.
Because I felt like for some of these other games that we talked about within the past year where they just shut down that fast, it was just like I should at least still have the ability to play it or host my own server, you know. But yeah, I guess this is kind of
But I think
yeah.
okay.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say it's still kind of transitions pretty good off of the big Xbox topic because this is still another one of those situations where even with this game they should have known that it couldn't have turned that much of a profit for them even when in development, you know. It's
Right.
like this is another one where it's kind of unfortunate that they're stopping development for it, but
Yeah.
a lot of them just need to understand, like just like what I just said, you gotta be in this for the long run
Yeah.
despite not making any money. Like some of these things are really not gonna pay off until it's way later, you know what I mean? Like the
Uh-huh.
persona and stuff, that's like way later. This game, how long this game lasted? A
A
year?
little
And
over a year.
because I remember, what was that? It wasn't called E3 at the time, but it was still during those summer showcases. I think it might have been 2022. Bro, this was like on every showcase. I remember it because it was
Yeah.
just like this like crazy amount of dinosaurs, and you had the mech suit and stuff.
Yep.
It was just like dog. It was
So
on every show.
it came out funny enough July 14th,
Yeah,
2023, and it'll be shut down by the end of July.
yeah, and I remember they had like so many different like set pieces for this where they were really showing this
Yep.
game off for an extended period of time where they really was trying to get you to play this. It was crazy. It was crazy. And I don't
Yeah.
think like it looked like something that probably would have been goofy and fun. Like you didn't really want to hate it, but
Yeah,
you
no.
were annoyed that they kept trying to show it to you. Cause it was like, okay,
Oh,
maybe I might like it, but I'm not about to spend big money on this. I don't know what y'all thinking, but yeah.
yeah. It was weird to me because and I think it's the premise of the game where the idea was supposed to be you're on a team and then there's another set of people on a team and you have to try and race to the finish line, so you have to complete the game faster than the other team so you get an advantage at the part where you guys shoot each other. And it's like, to me, I don't know, in my head it's like for some people, some of the people who wanted to play this just wanted to shoot dinosaurs. They don't want to have to bother shooting other people. And then two, like, you're telling them the fun of the game is to rush through it. So it's like I gotta drop $60 to try and complete levels fast. Like I don't get to enjoy the game. I gotta rush through it just to then end up shooting other people, and I gotta pay for battle passes and live service elements after already paying 60 for it. I don't know, it's weird. I always feel like live service games need to be free because you
I
also have to
agree.
pay for a battle pass and do all this other
Hmm.
stuff. But again, at the same time, it's like not everything needs to be a live service game. Like if I'm gonna pay, I don't mind if it has a multiplayer aspect to it. That
Hmm.
has all this big stuff. But if I pay money for it, I need a robust single player game. And I feel like they could have done something for this game costing 60, where even if the multiplayer stuff gets shut down, it should be the case where people are like, yeah, but that single player campaign though is worth it enough to play through.
Yeah. There was a group of people out there who are, you know, still to this day, it's almost like the Bloodborne crowd where people want to have a remaster of Bloodborne. This crowd might be a little bit more niche, but there's a group of people out there that want the Dino Crisis game to make a return, right? And Dino Crisis is basically Resident Evil, but with the raptors and the T Rex, right? Like with the actual dinosaurs. And somebody out there on the internet hit the nail on the head with this, and I'll repeat it here. I forgot who it was, but shout out to you. But I think a lot of people can relate to this when you would say you want Dino Crisis, but you shouldn't have to feel like you need to play the mediocre game to get them to make you Dino Crisis. You should just come out with Dino Crisis.
I agree.
And I think a lot of people felt that way when it came to this game, because they were saying, why didn't you just make Dino Crisis? You've perfected the Resident Evil formula where you can make this any way you want, whether it was first person or third, and all you have to do is literally change the behavior of the AI or the NPC slightly, and then reskin it as a dinosaur, and that's it. Right? Like, they come out with these remakes for Resident Evil pretty quickly. We're already talking about how they're going to do 9 and how they're going to do the remakes of like 0 and 1 and all of that. It's like why was Exoprimal even made? Like, it was like one of those things where it didn't even make sense, because Resident Evil is going to keep moving like an oil machine for them, where this didn't make that much sense. Now, I don't want to stop people's creativity, because we do still need more games, but this should have been just a straight up game. It shouldn't have been something that was like live service-y at all. It should have just came out. If people didn't like it, that was it. But I would hate to hear that somebody is working for Capcom and they think that they're going to have a secure career because they're going to just do some assets for Resident Evil, and then they find out they have to be on the Exoprimal team, and it's very experimental, and then, you know, it didn't work out. Here's the door. You're right. While the other person who just so happened to be on a Resident Evil team, like, you're probably set for the next 5-10 years or something, because they got all these remakes and stuff that they're going to make and all these ideas. And it's like, hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully they can just move people over when something like this doesn't work. But that's kind of been the industry this past like year or two, where it's just like, it didn't work out, you're gone in like 2-3 months. And it's kind of a shame. But yeah, it is what it is for Exoprimal. I'm still looking forward to plenty of Resident Evil games, plenty of probably even terrible TV shows and movies. But yeah, this one didn't stick. So please just make a regular Dino Crisis. Just do it and take your time, and then hold out for the long run. This shouldn't be that hard. Like, it could have been like Armor Core From Software, where it's like Armor Core was like a one-off where they brought it back real quick, and it wasn't terrible at all, but it wasn't like as good as Elden Ring, and then obviously the Elden Ring DLC, which is dominating right now. But they was able to get that game out, and it was just a standalone game. You either bought it or you didn't. It was just, there it is, and everybody still gets to eat because they still have this good product, and you didn't put people's jobs on the line. So hopefully they didn't put people's jobs on the line, but the industry is so crazy right now. I don't know what to say. But yeah, man. Did you even play this? I didn't play this. Did you try it?
I didn't get to get around to it. Nope.
Yeah. You know what it reminds me of? I was kind of upset about this. You remember Second Instinct? Like, Second Instinct was the PC-ish game that was like, it was like in a beta, and they shut it down and just never took it out of beta and was like, we're just not going to release it. And I wanted to play it, and I wanted to do the co-op and just run through it, but we didn't get a chance to because we didn't play the beta. And it's like, a lot of people don't play games when they're in beta. They wait for the official release. Like, that would have been the closest thing to the Dino Crisis or what this is and stuff, without any microtransactions, because I don't even think they have microtransactions, but I think they were going to, but was looking at the industry, and at the time the hottest thing that was getting cut was like Marvel Avengers, right? And we were always talking about how like a lot of things got cut because of that game, and they shut that bad boy just down. They just shut it right on down, as of like so many other things. And yeah, that was just the end of it. But yeah, it's a wrap, I guess. There is still a Jurassic Park game, if you remember, that they announced, that would look like it was supposed to be kind of a horror game that might come out at some point.
Yep.
Hopefully that doesn't get shut down and we get to see, what becomes of it. And then technically, I mean, if you count it, the Quiet Place game was announced, and it's got a little bit of a buzz right now because of the movie and everything. Um, which does some stuff that's like dinosaur-y if you think that's a dinosaur, but
It's a loose.
yeah, it's a little bit of a stretch. It is, but I'm trying to get the people options. If you like this type of thing, you want some options. But yeah, I guess we can move on. Good topic. Good topic. Now, what's going on with you saying that there is a PS Plus free game controversy? I might be right there with you, but I want to hear what you got to say first, and then I'll see.
So I wasn't personally as upset with this. I can see where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
But there is some people online that are not happy with the PS Plus games given away this month for a specific reason. So the 3 games were Borderlands 3, NHL 24, and Among Us. Now, for me, on the kind of more not outside looking in, but like just kind of looking at it as an overview of things, to me, it's a wide variety, right? You got your shooter that's considered one of the best games almost ever to come out, even though it's older. You have a sports game, and then you have like a multiplayer, like deduction game, right? Like it just felt like a nice wide variety. That's how I kind of looked at it as first. Well, what some people are saying is, with the price increases that they did, you're paying $9.99 a month for PlayStation Plus, and one of the games given away for free is like $2.99, which would be Among Us, right? The game only costs $3, but you're paying $9 to get that game for free. So people are arguing that the quality for the games given this month doesn't match the price that they have to pay for it, which is a very fair argument to me. And I think you can also kind of consider that too with like giving away these older games that are constantly, like Borderlands 3, like on sale, like repeatedly, and it's like, well, now it's getting away for free. But I feel like a lot of people already had it.
Yeah, Borderlands is one game where multiple times throughout the year I see it on sale on many platforms for $10, like $9.99. And I believe there was one Black Friday year where I did see it drop to either $7 or $5. Yep. For sure.
Now, I thought that this was given away for free because the Borderlands movie comes out next month. So they gave away the best of the series to try and to build up hype for it. Where it's like, if you don't really know Borderlands, hop in. You can like learn the story a bit and it should be easy, but the gameplay is also fun enough that it might get you to go, okay, well, I don't know the full backstory. Let me go check out the movie instead of having to play through game one because it's supposed to be in the movie. That's what I thought that was like given away for. But I think the biggest issue people have, honestly, is the Among Us being one of the free games.
Yeah. Plus, I think just now, like between the two of the three, Borderlands and Among Us, I believe were more at their peak in like 2020 and 2019, I think. Like somewhere in that ballpark. 2020 especially, I believe, because that was during like all the lockdowns and stuff, and those games were like more considered new. Like that's when they were at their peak. And this seemed like this would have been a good month in like 2022, maybe, when these games were a little bit more like newer, especially with like around that time, the Tiny Tina game was coming out.
Yep.
Or it came out that year, and like if you gave away this one leading up to that, that translates with the gamer more than let's give this away before the movie.
I agree.
I don't know if people are going to go to the movie to see the movie just because you gave the game away. It sounds good on paper, but that reminds me of like let's put Batista at WrestleMania when he came back that one year instead of Daniel Bryan. Do you remember how that crazy that was? That's kind of how it sounds to me. It's like it's on paper. Like I know that's probably crazy of analogy to somebody, but it's just on paper it sounds like it's good, but in real life it doesn't translate as well.
Yeah, and something else to keep in mind too.
Yeah,
Again, because Among Us only costs like $3, I don't
yeah,
think there was anybody out here like waiting. Like, man, I can't wait till I can play this on PlayStation for free. Like, they would have just gotten it. And for those who didn't want to pay, it's also technically free on mobile. Like, if you just played it through your mobile phone and you can still play with everybody, it's free. It only costs on console and like PC.
yeah. Plus the mobile is at the level now where you can do things like have the little attachment that I have, like the Brazer Kishi,
Yep.
or the little phone clip to the Xbox controller or something. It's like you can really transform mobile now to the point where when you're on that kind of screen, it's good enough for a game like that. like you don't really need to go through a console and stuff. And plus, everybody is going to be on Discord on that, so it just translates better on
Yep.
the phone and on the PC anyway. So yeah, yeah, I could see it a little bit. I could see it. At least with PS Plus though, I guess you could say there's always the next month. It's not like it's not perfect. But I don't think they did raise the price at one point, but they didn't they're not raising the price every 2 years or whatever. It doesn't come off
Yeah.
as like way in your face. I think we can get it away. We can like overcome this a little bit better than the Game Pass situation. Um, but yeah, yeah. But I get it. I absolutely get it. Um, I do like though that it hasn't completely nosedived since like the um the Saints Row month. Like where it's like consistently bad. Like imagine if it was consistently bad from
Yeah.
that month to now, right? Like they had some hiccups, but they had a couple good things too. So I can't tear them apart too much. But hopefully for both companies, some things turn around. No company is perfect. Like the big three, there's always something you could say about all three. I tore Nintendo down like a few weeks ago, and I probably shouldn't have, you know. But at the same time, it's like you have your things you like and your things you dislike.
Uh-huh.
I would like for the industry to just get better. But at least you still have your variety. There's a lot that you can still play. But I think that's all of our topics. Did you have anything else you wanted to say before we get up out of here?
I didn't.
All right, like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for listening to me ramble. We're under an hour and a half, so we did make some good time. Hopefully, we can shorten it the next time. And yeah, keep enjoying the gaming. Keep enjoying the summer. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.